Romance was the subject matter of Yash Chopra's last 3 directorial efforts, all of which featured Shah Rukh Khan as the lead. And it is surprising to see that all 3 of these movies span Shah Rukh Khan's career to a great extent. From Dil To Pagal Hai in the 90s to Veer Zara in the 2000s and Jab Tak Hai Jaan in the 2010s. But due to the fact that Jab Tak Hai Jaan was the last film directed by Yash Chopra before his death, it is unavoidably the most talked about of all 3, even though that is unfair to the late director. But then, what really is fair in life, right? However, Jab Tak Hai Jaan is probably the least desirable of 3 as well. Just look at the general ratings for all 3 films. Out of all 3 in consideration, Jab Tak Hai Jaan fares the lowest. Even so, it is unfair to have a project that was not up to par with the original vision of its director, yet whose name remains attached to it anyway. It's difficult to imagine how we could have ever seen the true vision of Yash Chopra, who passed away before he could even definitively decide on the title for the film, resulting in the working title of the film to be finalized. Thus, the film now exists in all its glory and faults as it is, Jab Tak Hai Jaan. It's interesting to see that unlike an epic opening with the character's introduction, Jab Tak Hai Jaan takes it slow, with the bomb-defusing expert Samar Anand described as the man who cannot die. This is not your typical screen hero. This is, at least, trying to go past the stereotypes of olden SRK and Chopra movies. There seems to be a subtext here as well, in relation to how this man is not a screen hero. He's a real one. He's not a hero who caters to children, but saves them. Next up, we're introduced to Anushka Sharma's character Akira Rai, the young 21-year-old fun-loving girl who doesn't think before acting. Could say that again for her work in this film. No, I'm kidding. When Akira's character is introduced, it is interesting to note that she has a healthy, spirited attitude. Just ready to go, as her first action in the film is to jump into the cold waters of Ladakh. And of course, she begins to drown. In spite of the fact that Major Samar Anand reluctantly saves her, it is to be noted that this act of drowning represents Akira's core obsession, that she is self-absorbing, self-consuming, perhaps self-destructive too? At least, that's what she symbolizes through this act of drowning. The idea of her drowning herself in Samar's love is subconsciously ingrained in the viewer's minds. The person she is one who is willing to risk her life to see what happens. In the movie's plot revelation device, Samar's diary drops, revealing his entire past.
वैसे तो लाइफ के 25 साल जी चुका था मैं, पर जिंदगी मेरी इस दिन शुरू हुई थी।
Meera, the last to be introduced, is seen not through the lens of the viewer, but through Samar's memories from his younger days as an immigrant struggling to make ends meet in London. There's no world-stopping moment here. Just a glimpse, then it's gone, as if would have really happened. The tag that follows Meera, a British woman of Indian descent, almost turns her off. She despises it. Meera shows racism in her only flashback to her childhood by wishing not to marry someone other than a white person. Obviously, this seems out of place for the movie, which leads me to believe that it might have been appropriate to include more flashbacks to Meera's childhood, if not all the characters' childhoods, to build them up as people, to show that their destinies would one day bring them all together. In any case, it is an effective way to cope with the lingering racism held by non-residential Indians towards their fellow Indians, regardless of where they live in the world. A director who grew up in the aftermath of Indian independence and witnessed racism, casteism, and other social issues, and who even addressed these issues in a number of his earlier films, Chopra made sure to not preach this time, but to let it be a sound message to be heard from within. The seemingly continual contradiction of epic conventions, which seems to be aligned in the hero's unimpressive entry, the mania of the young troublemaker's madness, and the faultiness of the heroine, only seems to falter in the later hours of Jab Tak Hai Jaan as its story advances. How so?